Does love still exist? Because I'm gonna tell you the truth, it don't seem like it. And if it does exist, it's real slim, and people keep it to themselves and they keep it off the internet because I know negativity lives on the internet. People don't really be positive because nobody cares. Nobody wants to see positivity. People want to see negativity because negativity is more entertaining. I believe that. I will say that until the end of time. Negativity is more entertaining. So a lot of the times we assume our worldview, not we assume, but our worldview is hate, no friends, fights. We don't see positive. I used to see a lot of positivity, but I guess my algorithm switched on me because I guess one day I was bored and I kept hitting the like button on negativity. Sometimes self improvement. But the point is, I don't really see love anymore. Even with music, even with movies, rom-coms, R&B albums. You don't see any of that anymore. And like I said, I don't know if it's because it sells better or that's our new reality. Now, I know for a fact people don't like being vulnerable anymore. Like being vulnerable to people now is weak. It actually shows strength when you're vulnerable, when you open yourself up, but people see it as weak, so people keep it to themselves. Any social site I go on, including YouTube, it's breakups, it's I'm single for life, it's talking about how their ex is a terrible person and how people give up on relationships. And we're going down that path 100 miles per hour, and it's sad. And I think the main thing is vulnerability. I feel like people don't want to open up because even if people get past first base and they get to know somebody, I don't know if that's the actual metaphor for first base, but when you get to know somebody, you finally get a little bit of connection with somebody. You see that they're not super crazy or they're not weird, and you connect with them. It's like as time goes on, it's almost hard to believe for some people. So they look for reasons to exit left immediately. Like they look for little things just so they can be like, yep, I'm done with you. And confirmation bias is a real thing. So the bad thing is, let me stop right there. The bad thing is when you're talking to this person and you guys are communicating well, like I said, it may be rare for some people, but you are communicating well. Everything's going decent. They're everything that you want in a person, blah, blah, blah. In the midst of you talking to this person, I'm sure you're online too. So it's conflict. It's going against the grain. You're dealing with somebody, and then while you're talking to them, you're seeing the hate clips. You're seeing the men are terrible. You're seeing the women are terrible. Either way it goes. So it's like, I know that kind of, it's a conflict because you're comparing the two at the same time simultaneously, and you're like, it's hard to believe that you, out of all the people, were lucky enough to find a good person. Especially if you keep seeing story times of how this person was crazy and this person used me and this person was fake nice guy or this girl only wanted me for money. So it's like, I think, and I'm coming up with this right now, I think when you find somebody, you low key got to stay off the internet for a while. Just for a little minute, just until you make sure everything is good before you go any further. Stay off the internet until you are cool and you have enough trust in this person to continue. Because at the beginning, it's kind of the internet versus them. You that's all it is. It's the internet versus them. And you don't know them well, but you know the internet well. You know your algorithm well. You know those girls that you follow or the men that you follow that are telling you to stay single. Them they're going against the grain for real. So when you first meet somebody, in my opinion, I think stay off the internet or reset your algorithm and watch cat videos or funny videos until you get past that hump. And when you get past that hump, whether you have friends or not, the main thing is you have to keep people out of your business. Okay. You cannot tell people the ups and downs in your relationship because most of the time, 9 times out of 10, the people that you are cool with are single and they want you to be single with them. Now, I got to stop right there because right now it sounds like when you're in a relationship where you're starting to get to know somebody, you kind of like got to shut the world out and just deal with this person. When I stopped looking for it, I found it. Well, congratulations. That's good. You found love. Keep it. And don't, I know you just told me, but don't tell anybody else because they're gonna want to, you know, they're gonna want you to be miserable with them. I think love is definitely going extinct, and hopefully, I'm just telling you, hopefully the people that do have it, they just keep it to themselves. For years, I always heard men are terrible, men ain't ish. And then as time went on, I learned that the women that did have good men, they just kept it quiet because they know other women want that. And vice versa. 9 times out of 10, if a man has a good woman at home or a good woman in general, he's probably not going to flaunt it to the world because most people don't have that. So they're going to keep it to themselves. So in our view, in our perception, we think it's not out there because the people that do find it, they just keep it to themselves. I know a lot of good people. The first thing they're not going to do is when they have bad experiences, they're not going to go online and bash the other side. I know a lot of good women, and I know good dudes and decent dudes that don't do that. But the people on the internet, negativity. So they're going to go online, bash the other side, say the other side is terrible. And if you're a person like me that don't really get out much, don't really do much, not on dating apps at all, it's like the only time you hear about the opposite side is negativity. So of course you keep hearing that over and over again. You're going to assume then, okay, there is no love, especially in, like I said earlier, a lot of people are deeply humble. You know, they don't think good stuff is going to happen to them. So when they do find a good person, they think it's too good to be true. They're like, ain't no way, especially when you go online or you go in public and you see people that you feel are more attractive than you are. So they're like, how am I going to find a good person? I'm not so-and-so, or I'm not as good as so-and-so. So it sucks. It sucks. But connection is already rare. How often do you connect with people, like conversational wise, or two people that do the same thing or enjoy the same thing? That is rare as it is. So when you finally find it, it's you can't be looking for reasons to not deal with this person anymore. You can't. I know it's gonna be hard. I know it's gonna be difficult, especially if you've been single for a long, long time, and during the process of you being single, you kept running into people that were terrible. Yes, gossiping. Yes, gossiping is terrible. I never heard it was bad manners, but that is a good point. And I try to stay away from that. I used to have gossiping real bad because, especially in the workplace, work is terrible. Most people, 90% of people in this world do not like their job. So while you're there, people that date in the workplace or whatever, or anything that goes on in the workplace, when things are boring to make time pass, you're going to gossip. But what we have to realize is, to your point, it gossiping can ruin people's lives and their relationships. Even though it's entertaining to us, it can ruin people's lives. And I had to learn that, not necessarily the hard way, but a lot of gossip came my way. Like gossip would nitpicking a person is a bad practice. Yes, because nobody's perfect. Absolutely nobody. And if you already have it in your mind that the relationship's going to end, or you're already thinking that way, just adding to it, you're going to nitpick at certain stuff, confirmation bias. And I think we all have done it before. We all have done it, especially if you meet somebody and you feel like it's too good to be true, which is a terrible thing because it's like, one hand, we be like, oh, there's no good people in this world. And then when you meet a good person, you be like, yeah, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. And it makes sense, just naturally, we're going to have that fence up, like that wall, especially as time goes on and you deal with multiple people. You're going to pick up on certain signs because you don't want to feel like you look past red flags because you were super into this person. But hey, we're getting more. You're talking about nitpicking, which is a good point. We're getting more picky as time goes on. We're really getting picky because we're trying to protect ourselves. And I'm talking about me. We're trying to protect our energy, our peace. So it's like, we're not going to just let anybody in. But when it comes to love, you got to take chances. You got to be vulnerable. You don't have a choice, or you're going to be single for the rest of your life, especially if you're just waiting on somebody to make a wrong turn or say the wrong thing. Like, communication is key too. I'm not necessarily saying when you first meet somebody, have a long list of things to be like, I don't like this, I don't like that. But when people do certain stuff that kind of like rubs you the wrong way, sometimes when you just say it, Give them the chance to like change what they did and then proceed. Don't just automatically just find reason to cut people off. Cause I see time and time again, like ghosting people is becoming like a normal practice. Ghosting somebody, especially if they do like something minor. It's like you're not too invested into the relationship already. And if you've been single for a long time, it's easy to just cut somebody off and be like, they didn't text me all day, cut them off. I don't like when they was playing about this, cut them off. They made a weird joke about this, cut them. Like, it's so easy to cut somebody off. And I understand people do it to protect their peace because they don't, you're the first thing you're gonna think of is, I don't need this. Seems like that's basically there is sliding a scale for everything. Yeah, of course. I agree 100%. I just I just believe in order to find love, you're gonna have to take a chance. Long story, you're gonna have to take a chance. You're gonna have to let your guard down. And I'm mostly talking to people that've been single for a long time because that's what usually is like the new thing now. You've been in a relationship for a long time or you've been single. And 9 times out of 10, I know a couple of women that they was in relationships they be in relationship for years that when they become single, it's like hard for them. So they just jump right back into a relationship, whether the person's good or not. Like I see that a lot. And then vice versa. When you're single for a long time, it's like right when you find somebody, you're quick to be single again, other than trying something new and be uncomfortable. And when I was younger, I was cut off. You was cut out often. I was a cut. What does that mean? You was a cut offer. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like if I can go back, speaking of being younger, if I can go back into my younger years, I think I would have. I think I was jump relationship to relationship a little bit too much. I know other people have different experiences with love, but I was one of those people that I was when I get into a relationship, I be in there for years through ups and downs, through whatever. I was just in relationships like deep into them. So when I was single, I was uncomfortable. I didn't even know what to do with myself. Like, and this is from a man's point of view. I know women kind of deal with being single a little bit different. They have a little bit more options, well, a lot more options, but not necessarily saying the options are good, but they have a lot more options. For a man, when he's newly single, it's like it's not the same for the average man. I'm just gonna say that. So a lot of the times when I was single, I would just go back to somebody I used to mess with or something like that, just so I can have somebody. Because as an average man, you can't just go out into the public and just people are gonna walk up to you and ask for your number or being online. If you switch from being in a relationship to single, there's not gonna be a line of women ready to get with you. It doesn't work like that for men. I don't know if women don't understand that or certain levels of men don't understand it, but for the average man, we don't deal with that. So for me personally, when I became single, it was just like a drought, a super drought, unless I went out there and did what I had to do to get in a relationship. Which the reason why I said that is when it came to love, I should have took the time and been single for a while. I should have just sat back and just enjoyed being single and learned to love myself. That way, when I'm in a relationship again, I can love others how they're supposed to be loved. But what happened is I would just hop relationship without even trying to focus on myself or better myself. So every relationship I got into, I'm not gonna say I was worse, but I never changed. I was just the same old person, and it wasn't healthy for me or the other person. So I may have ruined their love life, in retrospect, looking back, I probably ruined it for them because I would do the same thing, get with a person, honeymoon stage, be super cool, we fun, we having the time of our lives. And then when stuff started getting serious and we actually had to deal with each other on a serious note, whether we was living together or just regular dating, the fun kind of goes away because it's responsibilities. Like you gotta give people a certain amount of attention. You gotta conversate with people. You gotta communicate when you don't like stuff. But the easiest thing to do is walk away, and I think that's what most people do. And I do think it has something to do with people's finances. Loving oneself is definitely non-negotiable. Yes, but a lot of us wasn't taught that. We wasn't taught, and I'm agreeing with you. You definitely should love yourself, but a lot of people wasn't taught that. Like that's why it's a good thing to have both parents in the household because your mom's gonna teach you to love yourself. Yeah, your dad's gonna teach you like how tough the world is, but that nurturing side, like love yourself, self-maintenance, all that stuff, that feminine side, yeah, there's a such thing as being too feminine as a man, but you gotta like put love into yourself and pour into yourself in a healthy way though. Not to the point where you make everything about you, but I just wish I would have, instead of trying to worry about my attractiveness when it came to dating other people, I should have tried to learn myself and learn the bad habits and the good habits and you know what not the, it sounds boring, but you know what I mean. Like to your point, loving yourself is it should be a part of it before you get into the next relationship. But on the flip side, just to play devil's advocate, there's such thing as I said 2 seconds earlier, loving yourself in an unhealthy way, which means, in my opinion, like stuck in your ways a little bit too much. So, you know, you be single for a while and you kind of like love yourself and self-maintenance and self-care to the point where when you do find somebody with a good connection, you're kind of too into yourself and you kind of make everything about you because you try to make it seem like instead of y'all coming together and combining lives, you're trying to make it seem like, and I'm not saying you do it intentionally, but you make it seem like they're just entering your life and their life doesn't matter. It's like, it's not even important. You're coming into my world. I'm not going into your world. And it's definitely a healthy spot for both sides. You know what I'm saying? But it's things that have to be taught, and you also have to be an adult and comes with maturity. Like love is like a sacred thing, and you can ruin people's lives. I think that's where the toxic part comes in. At is the love. It's like a thin line. I think that's why we see a lot of toxic relationships because it's one point of acting like you don't care, but you deeply love somebody. So your way of showing the love is through, being too aggressive. And since you're not doing it on a healthy, I'm trying to explain it because, it's like a touchy subject, like the toxic part, because I've seen some toxic stuff, but I always felt like it came from you've had feelings for this person, but you're trying to be nonchalant and acting like you don't care. But then when the relationship is ending and you can feel it, it's like now all the feelings are coming out, but it's coming out in a negative way. It's not you could have just easily expressed how you felt about the person, but instead of expressing it, you kind of kept it to yourself or acting like you don't care if the person don't text you back, arguments, all that stuff. And then at the end, when it's going down the drain, that's when you try to show your love, but it comes out aggressive. I'm glad I never, and I should knock on wood or do something. I've never dealt with a woman that damaged any of my things. And it might be because she knew I wasn't materialistic at all. Like I didn't, and some of my cars were raggedy. So even if you scratched it, I wouldn't be able to tell. But I'm glad I never really dealt with no toxic love or any of that. I never dealt with it. Or maybe I left right on time, or maybe I left right when she was thinking about it. I don't know, but I don't know. I came outside my job a couple times and my tire was flat, and I just assumed I did it when I was on my way to work because, the place where I live, it was a lot of potholes and stuff. I don't know. Either way, it was never I never caught nobody in the act doing any crazy stuff. Now, I did have people live with a couple of women where shirts came up missing, but I just think she was tired of me wearing the same thing. And that was probably it. Never had my clothes burned, never had any windows busted out, none of that. But like I said, it could have happened. I just don't know. But love is very dangerous. Do I think it still exists? I hope it does. I definitely hope it does. And I know that make me sound soft because I'm a man talking about love, but it's important. I think that's one of the few things that are important in this life that is very priceless, whether it's friends, family, relationships. I was mostly talking about relationships when I'm talking about love, because you're going to have relationship. You're going to have family at least. And if you don't have family, you're going to have friends at least. Hopefully you have something. Either you have a coworker or something. But long story short, love is going to be in your life, but you have to choose it. I hear it all the time. People say love is a choice. At this point, I don't know. I don't know if it's a choice. I always felt like you can't help who you love, but people are starting to say it's a choice now. I don't know if that's true, but if it is a choice, people need to choose it. They definitely do. Because the best things in life are free and they're priceless. And I feel like it's priceless to have somebody that you can call just to talk to, somebody that you can trust, somebody that won't judge you when you express yourself. I feel like that is priceless. You could be the richest person in the world, but if you don't have somebody that love makes the world go around, yeah, I really believe that. I just feel like either people are withholding the love or they're keeping the love a secret, but it's out there. I do think it's out there. It's just, where's it at? Where's it at? And I really want to know what made people be less vulnerable. Like, what made people like close up and not want to like express love anymore. And you could say, oh, well, they got their feelings hurt. Yeah, but most people, even though they get their feelings hurt, they still like deep inside want love. So they'll just, continue on to the next person in a healthy way. But now it just seems like everybody just like, nah, I'm good. And I think I was going to get into it earlier about the finances, but I believe that finances play a part, because if everything is going up so high to the point where if you are single and living by yourself, you either got two jobs or you got a good job. And if you got a good job, you're probably getting salary. And if you're getting paid salary, you're most likely there more than 40 hours. And on top of that, just going to work in general, now that everything is more expensive, it's like you won't even have enough energy to like go out and find somebody, because being in a relationship is another job. It's another job. You can't just be living with somebody and y'all just like every once in a while say you love each other. You got to go on dates. You got to give the attention. You got to express your love. You got to do all that. And I think people are too exhausted now. That may be what it is. People are too exhausted to go out and find love or deal with love at all. So now they're just expressing themselves. They'll just turn on a camera and talk for a minute and go put it on TikTok, how they either can't find love or they're dealing with horrible people. It's like that's the only energy people have now, is just to post a negative video online about how they can't find nobody, and when they do find people, the people are terrible. That's it. I think as time goes on, and then on the flip side, if you are in a relationship and finances play a part, it's like you get to the point where you're just with the person because you can't afford to be alone. Ain't no love in that. You being with somebody just because you can't afford to leave, I think that happens a lot more than we think. Whether it's a Facebook couple, YouTube couple, whatever, I think a lot of them are just sticking together just for the content. And I hope that's not true. But even in the real world, I think a lot of people are sticking together because it's cheaper when two people are going against those bills than just one person. So it's either people are living together in fake relationships because they can't afford to be by themselves, or people are alone and they work so much they don't have the energy to go out and find somebody that they can be in a relationship with. Either or, that's just how I go. Hopefully things change for the better. I go live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every week at 11 a.m. I come on here, different topics every day. I want to hear what you think. I appreciate Glass Candy 777 for having that conversation with me. I appreciate your time, whether you watch it on the watch back or watch it live. Hit that like button. Hit the like button at the beginning. And if you don't like something I say, hit the dislike. Engagement is engagement. Now I know you're there. Now I know that you're tuning in. I appreciate your time. And you have a great day. No matter what the weather is, have